Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the emotional depth and, honestly, the gritty reality of a truly powerful piece of storytelling. We are diving into the thematic anatomy of the goldfish and the ghost. Right off the bat, this is a soul blues duet that just drips with cinematic depth. It pits a super vulnerable male lead against this wonderfully warm, expressive female lead. It's a profound look at heartbreak, regret, and the very real consequences of chasing what turns out to be a totally false sense of freedom.
Okay, let's just dive right into it. Now there's a goldfish in my kitchen. I mean, what a striking, surreal lyric, right? It instantly pulls us into this photorealistic scene of messy isolation. This isn't the glamorous life of a newly free man. It's absurd, it's lonely, and it perfectly sets the stakes for literally everything that follows in this narrative.
So that brings us to part one, the illusion of freedom, or walking away from heaven. Let's look at the male protagonist's tragic flaw and the exact moment he chose his own downward spiral. I kissed the future on the forehead and walked away from heaven by myself. This brilliantly illustrates his psychological state. He didn't just passively leave a relationship or, drift apart. He intentionally, deliberately abandoned a perfect dream. Why? Because he thought he was made for something more.
There is an agonizing contrast here between what he expected and what he actually got. He expected more nights, more lights, an ocean of chances. He really thought the whole world was just waiting for him out there. But his reality? A goldfish in the kitchen, silence in bed, and dishes growing into mountains. It's an incredibly bleak, stagnant reality that he essentially locked himself into.
And you really have to notice these gritty, tangible details from the lyrics that ground the poetry in this harsh reality. The landlord is leaving notes beneath the door. His boss is calling every single day. The dishes are growing into small mountains, and somehow, he just looks away. Even when he's surrounded by 100 different people, he feels completely isolated. He's ignoring his decaying life because her voice is literally the only one inside his head.
Which leads us to section 2, the goldfish in the room, our core metaphor. This brings us to the visual anchor of the entire song, a powerful symbol of his current existence that just sits quietly in the corner. Why a goldfish? Well, it's a creature swimming in endless circles. The narrator even says, maybe he's as lost as I am, swimming circles endlessly. The fish surprisingly survives amidst all this neglect, which actually kind of surprises the narrator himself, and it perfectly embodies the act of just surviving but not truly living. It is, quite literally, emotional stagnation in a bowl.
The duet juxtaposes their states perfectly right here in the chorus. The male is entirely imprisoned, stuck inside the past we built together. Meanwhile, the female is learning how to live again. It's a striking contrast showing how she is actively moving forward while he is completely trapped.
Let's shift gears to part 3, Gardens from Broken Hearts and the Process of Healing. We're exploring the female lead's perspective now, which represents the stark, upward trajectory of quiet strength. Listen to this incredible line of acceptance. I loved that restless part of you, even when it hurt to watch you fly. She recognizes his true nature. She knows he was always dreaming of open highways, searching for another sky. She accepts the incredibly painful reality that love just cannot survive when one heart is already walking away.
So the crucial point here is her active journey. First, she cried until the tears grew tired. Then, her heart completely broke. But over months, she slowly started to heal, until finally, she bloomed into a new garden. Instead of swimming in endless circles like the goldfish, she learns that broken hearts are gardens, provided you give them the necessary time to bloom again.
And as in all great narratives, these paths must eventually cross. Part 4, the collision of realities, the breakdown.
As we reach the emotional climax, these two drastically different character arcs finally crash into each other. But before they even speak, we see his complete paralysis. Hope is terrifying when rejection feels the same. Every day he reaches for his phone, then stops before he types her name. It is a stunning admission of vulnerability. He's paralyzed by the absolute terror of reaching out and finding out the door is locked for good.
This reveals the devastating dialogue breakdown that follows. He asks 3 desperate, probing questions. Do you ever think about us? Do you miss me? Would you open the door? And her response just shatters against him. Sometimes. I don't know. They are brief, guarded, and highly realistic boundaries from someone who has actually done the hard work to heal and bloom without him.
This confrontation leads to his ultimate, tragic realization. He finally understands what he was too blind to see.
You were never just my lover, you were the gravity beneath me. The home he ran from wasn't some cage holding him down. It was the very gravity keeping him from just floating away into nothingness.
Which brings us to Section 5, Drifting with the Tide, the unresolved climax.
The ending brilliantly refuses to give us a simple, neatly tied-up conclusion. The female vocals present us with the only two possibilities at this emotional crossroads. Some stories find their way back home, some drift out with the tide. It perfectly balances that agonizing tension between a potential reunion and permanent, irreversible loss.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought from the narrator that asks us all to reflect. He sits there wondering, which story is ours tonight? It's a profound question to end this explainer on. When the illusion of freedom fades and we realize the true cost of walking away from our own gravity, which path do we ultimately choose?